Hello everybody, welcome back to ESL's King of the Hill. This is week number 3 for Hearthstone. My name is TJ, joined by That's Admirable. We're about to jump into the king match of the day. It's Ostkaka versus Cydonia.
And we saw Cydonia put on a very fantastic set in the first match of today, but he's going to have to face the reigning world champion if he's going to become king of this week. And that reigning world champion has brought Priest in the lineup.
He has. Now, we don't know if the Priest is going to get through yet because this is self-ban. And if Ostkaka sniffs even a little bit of, every deck, he's going to ban his Priest. Whew, got a little scared there. Thought I was about to praise Priest. But let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket for today for those of you who are just now joining us. We saw Demigod versus Cydonia as the first matchup. Demigod, of course, was the Open tournament winner, and Cydonia was the invited player for the week. And, of course, Cydonia took that match 4-2. Now he's going to go up against Ostkaka, and the winner of this match gets $500 and becomes the king, and they'll be invited back next week to defend their throne.
Yeah, lots of weeks going on for King of the Hill. You guys could have a piece of this action, too. If you wanted to you have your chance to battle these guys, you could be an open winner, just like Demigod.
A piece of the Ostkaka. Cheesecake? Pie?
Yeah.
Piece of the pie?
Yeah, I get where you're going with that. I thought you were going to roll into the plug.
Ostkaka, though. We said that's Swedish for cheesecake, but the Swedish cheesecake is a little bit different than the cheesecake that Americans are familiar with.
Cooking with TJ.
Yeah, it's much more, it's lighter, not quite as heavy.
It's fluffier.
It's fluffier. It's usually made like more of a pie type thing, pie cake-ish thing, rather than a, like, I guess cheesecake is a pie too. I don't know. It's differently.
It's fluffier. It's lighter.
Just Google it.
You could have left it right.
Just Google it. God.
Well, you don't have to Google the website.
Stop putting us more
for ESL.
Pressure on me. Jeez.
If you want to play the open bracket, you don't have to Google that one.
No. You can head over to esl.gg/KOTHHS if you want to play in the open. If you want a chance. So far, the open winners haven't done much. They both lost in the first round. So if you guys think that you can make it even further than them, show us. Prove it to us.
Yep. Open bracket for limited seating. So you do need to go make sure that you sign up before those seats get filled up. But it's a Swiss format. And Swiss is so cool, in my opinion. You get to set aside the block of time to play. If your record's not going the hottest, doesn't matter. You can finish your rounds out. Not only that, but Swiss gives you, I think, just a better overall matching system in general, where instead of bracketed play and you know who you're going to be playing against, you have like a group of players who you anticipate playing, and just a lot more overall rounds, I think, creates a more accurate winner at the end.
Yeah, definitely. But we can start talking about these two guys now. Ostkaka versus Cydonia. We saw Cydonia play well. Ostkaka has sort of been pretty quiet recently as far as tournaments go. He's been to a couple tournaments he's been invited to, but didn't qualify for prelims this time around.
Yeah.
Didn't play in those. Sort of just been pretty quiet. But in the tournaments that we have seen him in, he's been pretty scary.
Yeah, like last week when we saw him become king, he actually used a Cthulhu warrior build that featured the Commanding Shout, Wild Pyromancer, Battle Rage engine with Loot Hoarders thrown in there as well to kind of get to the kill condition. And typically that's what we see in like the Raging Warrior OTK builds. And he just decided that the better kill condition was Cthulhu engine.
Yeah.
And it worked wonderfully. That deck looked super strong. So curious to see what he's got in store this week, where Priest is in that spot. It's going to be Druid for Ostkaka versus Dragon Warrior for Cydonia on our first game, though. And Ostkaka's opening hand, I can bet you at least 3 of these cards get pitched away.
Yeah. At least 3, maybe 4, but Innervate is a really good card.
Well, he knows he's playing against Dragon Warrior, and Dragon Warrior is like the aggressive build that Warrior has, and so having the extra mana to accelerate to something powerful to contest the board is pretty paramount in this matchup.
Yeah. All right, well, it picks up an okay hand, but that mulch is a little bit of an awkward pickup. And the Zoth's First Mate's in the deck as well. I think this lineup, this deck is the version that, it's like the Zixos version. It runs the Zoth's First Mate. It also runs an Inner Rage as well. And the Korkana leads, runs the Malkarok, things like that. Runs Deathwing. Well, a okay hand for...
I'm never curious if making a 2/2 is right. I don't think it is.
The land serves.
This has got to be random. We just used an Innervate.
The 2/2 gets cleaned up by what's on the board.
Yeah. And that's definitely one of the reasons why it's worse. But the second reason is you're using an Innervate to power this out.
Yeah.
You probably, and you're using the coin as well. You probably need to just get the mana flowing.
Yeah. So we'll see if Ostkaka is going to be able to have the resources to complete this game now, since you're giving up a lot of resources to gain that additional mana and to put that 3/3 on the board.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot for Ostkaka. His hand's not particularly good. It's not bad, but it's not good.
Yeah.
So Cydonia, I think, is going to... I don't think he's going to end up trading here. Curious where this Rusty Hook goes, if anywhere. He's going to hang on to it.
Gets heavily punished by Wrath.
Maybe he doesn't... I mean, maybe he just value trade. Like value trade, make a 3/2 with the Power of the Wild. I don't mind that at all. Ooh, my. That's an interesting couple of choices there.
I mind it a lot. Actually pisses me off.
TJ's furious. I've never seen a man so angry in my life. It's like a giant angry baby with a beard.
And a blonde mohawk. It's actually a really creepy baby. All right, well, Whispers of the Old Gods is probably going to be the choice.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, Innervate, you don't have anything in your hand to play Innervate. What?
I don't see Wisp of the Old Gods being a choice there at all.
Why? You need something expensive to play.
He's got a lot of those in his deck.
Yeah.
He's just going to rely on drawing one.
It's like if his hand was a budget, if his mana was a budget, if he doesn't use all of his mana, then he doesn't use all of his budget, and next year Hearthstone's not going to give him as big of a budget.
Well, it doesn't trade. Both players choosing to not trade their 3/3s. And I think it's right, but both of them get punished off of the draw from one another.
Yeah.
As well.
But the thing is, Ostkaka getting punished is...
Oh my gosh. That draw is so good.
Now I'm furious.
How do you like your Wisps of the Old Gods now, TJ? TJ would have drawn this Violet Teacher if he had taken the Wisps of the Old Gods, and you would have seen him on camera like roll his eyes and do like the where you run your hand over your face thing and you're shaking your head back and forth.
No, I would
like,
have been okay with it. I would have just slammed the Violet Teacher and said, go. Or I said, deal with this.
I've seen the way Yogs happen to you.
Yogs?
Yeah, I've seen the way they happen.
I get good Yogs. Except on stream.
Yeah. Well, maybe
all my good Yogs are in the privacy of my own
Yeah.
home. And I look around, I'm like, did anybody see that? And I look at my dog, and my dog's just like, meh.
you guys should see me. You guys should hear me sing when there's no one else around. Great at it.
Yeah. Sounds like Celine Dion.
But when people are around, I just get really nervous.
Yeah. Actually decides to not innervate out the Power of the Wild, but instead go with the Hero Power like this, because that means if he draws another spell this turn, like, or just a mulch, he gets one more extra token from the Power Wild. So probably just going to see mulch Power of the Wild. Seems fine to me.
Yeah, this is a little bit weak to Blackwing Corruptor, but he's in a similar position that Cydonia was versus Demigod, where he's got to have a Dragon and a Blackwing Corruptor just in these couple cards.
I am ready to
trade.
I always like when people get cards that are already in their deck from the mulch, because it's actually not that high of a chance. There's a lot of cards in this game.
It's really not. But either way, Cydonia doesn't have the Blackwing Corruptor. It's just he's fairly unlikely to have that and a dragon in this spot to check the Violet Teacher. So Ostkaka, with just a swipe in hand, really needs to pick up some good cards, but he's ahead on board, and that's the more important part right now.
Yeah, I would have picked Wisp of the Old Gods and lost.
Yes, you
This
would have
game.
definitely lost.
Actually, no, I might have not lost.
I think you would have lost.
I don't know, because his Violet Teacher wouldn't have died.
I still think you would have lost. You would have just played this differently.
Yeah. I would have mulched the 1/1. Let's be real.
I would have baited him into playing a Booty Bay bodyguard or something.
All right, well, let's see.
There's a chance
Oh my
that gets
God.
used.
I would have innervated out Wisps of the Old Gods this turn. Won the game.
You wouldn't have taken the first innervate from the Raven Elf.
I am ready.
No, but I'd still have like a 3/1 Violet Teacher on the board.
It's over. Cydonia cannot get back in this game.
Yeah. Well, he does have Twilight Guardian, but no Dragon. And yeah. That'll do it.
Just too much pressure early on. Violet Teacher went unchecked, and that's kind of the critical one.
Yeah. I'm not seeing a way out.
I'm not either. I mean, Fire War Axe was a really strong draw when he drew it, but it wasn't enough to really shore this up. He needed Corcoran Elite, Blackwing Corruptor, Alex Strauss' champion. He had to answer the Violet Teacher, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, the Violet Teacher,
Just imagine if your deck didn't have Fiery War Axe at all. How would you ever answer that card?
I think that'd be bad.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a horrible plan. Ostkaka going to take game 1 here. Cydonia looking for that win. Ostkaka has not banned Druid out of his lineups in the last couple weeks. We saw Tice do it. We saw Demigod do it. Both Tice and Demigod both lost their sets with what kind of was, I would consider, a little bit of a weak point. In this particular lineup, Ostkaka has Druid, Shaman, Priest, Warlock, Warrior. He has self-banned out the Priest. So we're not going to be seeing that. TJ thinks it's hysterical. Cydonia has brought Druid, Shaman, Rogue, Warlock, Warrior, has again banned out his Rogue. So he drops game number 1 to Druid, and it just already looks so lopsided. Like, kind of the first person to get a win with a deck where the mirror match is all just kind of hocus pocus and whoever draws better, which to me usually is the Druid build right now, has just a massive advantage. Not only that, but Cydonia, all of his decks have been shown at this point. He's not 100% certain the lineup that Ostkaka is brought. He knows the classes, doesn't necessarily know the builds. So that's another advantage to Ostkaka on this one. Not only that, also gets a Druid win. This is really bad for Cydonia to start.
Yeah. There's 2 strategies you can take in self-ban Conquest. You can actually use it in its intended way by bringing 4 good decks and bringing 1 deck that counters a specific type of deck that can be thrown out if your opponent takes something a little bit weird. Or there's you just bring 4 decks that you really want to play, and you meme with the 5th deck and ban it out 100% of the time. And I'm leaning towards option number 2 that he went with.
See, I'm telling you right away, there's not a chance that Cydonia knows that this is mid-range Shaman. You can't even mulligan for mid-range Shaman, because if it's an aggro Shaman, you mulligan for the mid-range, you can just get steamrolled.
Yeah.
Not that Dragon Warrior changes the way it mulligans versus most of these decks, but
Dragon Warrior feels like... No, there are some matchups where you like don't want War Axe. There are some matchups where you want to keep like heavy drops.
Is there a matchup where you don't want Fire War Axe?
Yeah. But
What?
I can't remember right now.
Me
No, there
either.
was. I was thinking about it the other day. Oh, man. Druid. You don't want Fireworks against Druid.
I disagree.
What are you going to kill with a Fireworks against
I
Druid?
think you need to be able to deal with Violet Teacher. I think if you can't kill with Violet Teacher,
Yeah, but there's so many better cards that you can kill Violet Teacher with.
Go ahead and name a few. Let's hear these.
I think you'd much rather have like Twilight Guardian.
I'd much rather run my Alex Strauss' champion into it. I'd much rather wait till turn 4 to Twilight Guardian, so that way they can power the wild and kill me, because I didn't deal with Violet Teacher. And you need to kill Violet Teacher, and Fireworks is a big part of that.
I'd much rather have like Twilight Guardian, Fairy Dragon, Alex Strauss' champion, Sir Finley as my opening hand.
If you could choose an opening hand, there's a lot of things I'd rather have. But as a card in your deck...
Yeah, but there's not many... Okay, so let me change this differently. If I could pick... If I was on going second and I could pick my opening hand in all of my matchups as Dragon Warrior, Druid is the only matchup where Fire War Axe wouldn't be in that 4.
That is so hyper-specific that I'm going to consider your point move.
Yeah, disagree with me. Just blindly agree.
Tusker Totemic.
Just nod your head.
Gonna be what Ostkaka's going for here. Who knows what TJ's going for, but it's something.
Yeah. All right, well, Tusker Totemic just picks up Spell Power Totem. That's not going to be good. You know what's good, though? Fire War Axe.
It's very good.
But in a very specific situation, not against Druid.
Can't imagine submitting a deck without it.
I can't imagine it either.
Whoever does that, either super crazy or super genius.
Yeah, and then like if you did that, you'd probably be banning Warlock, like Zoo Warlock. But if you didn't include Fire War Axe and you had a strategy that didn't revolve around banning Warlock, borderline insane.
Flame Wreath Faceless looking pretty solid here. Cydonia. I honestly don't know if he's more likely to execute this turn or Twilight Guardian. I think I just like executing.
Yeah, but yeah. Because Twilight Guardian just gets killed for free.
You know, we also said that this was like a mid-range version from Ostkaka, but we also see Lava Burst in here.
wonder.
Hex and Lava Burst.
And Azure Drake.
Really interesting list. So Cydonia is on the make sure I get something on board plan. Rather than forego the development and keep an extra Twilight Guardian in hand, wants to be able to just get a Twilight Guardian on board and just the execute.
Yeah, just a really interesting deck from Ostkaka. You know, as people have always given him the nickname Ostwacky.
That's what they call him around here.
That's what they call him.
Everyone knows it.
What's old Ostwacky up to today?
Except to see it executes on those 7/5 flaming bases. I'm gonna guess that Azure goes to play. God, so good. He had like one option. 2 Lava Bursts and it. What is going on? I don't know if he recovers this.
I'm offended by this deck list.
There's got to be something specific that this is for. There's no way he's just jamming double Lava Burst, Hex, and Azure Drake in this build.
It'll come to us, don't worry. Or someone will angrily say it in the chat, and then we'll read it later, after we're done.
I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that? That's
so
smart.
Like, duh, it's Dragon Shaman. Why wouldn't you include dragons?
What to do?
Why wouldn't you have Lava Burst?
Why wouldn't you have Hex? Duh.
I remember when Dragon Shaman was trying to be a thing, and then you just looked at it and you're like, isn't Tunnel Trog Totem Golem just good enough? Like, do you really need all the dragon crap in here
Dragon
too?
Shaman, we just put Tunnel Trog Totem Golem in.
Yeah, that's like literally what you did.
It's like I was playing an Evolve Shaman, and I was like, wow, this deck would be so much better if I just opened up with Tunnel Trog and Totem Golem. And then I slowly just started to cut all of the cards that were good with Evolve, and eventually I just had an Aggro Shaman. I didn't even realize it. I'm like, wait a second.
Just card by card Evolved.
This is Aggro Shaman, except I have Evolves instead of Lightning Bolts.
Ostkaka just does not have a very strong play this turn. We're going to see Hex and Lava Burst to try to clear up damage, but this is going to leave him quite open. Cydonia, not too much to take advantage of it, just the Azure Drake. But either way, the facial expression that Ostkaka made where he's like, I actually don't get to develop anything this turn. That's a tough one. And now he's in a very similar position he was last turn. Sansa Hex. Well, that's a good job. TJ's just making hand motions. He's aspiring air traffic control.
Yeah. Exactly.
What to do?
My parents used to ask me when I was younger, TJ, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, air traffic control. I said, my dream since I was a tiny little kid was to, after planes land, let them get to a gate safely.
I just wanted to play with the orange batons.
Yeah. No. I was like, imagine having control over where a plane goes once it's on the ground.
It's like
a single man shouldn't have that much power.
It's like Magneto.
And then someone's like, you can just do that if you were the pilot.
I'm like, oh, why did I choose pilot? No,
for 20 years, I had the wrong dream.
God, I'm 36 and stuck in this career.
Yeah.
Cydonia's options are all good. Like, do you see a bad play this turn? Like, attack the Azure Drake, then Ragnaros. That's probably pretty bad.
No. Like, attack the Azure Drake with your Fire War Axe.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
And then trade in your Azure Drake to the Azure Drake that's at 1 health.
And then Frothing Berserker, Blood to Ichor your own frog.
Frothing Berserker after. No, Blood to Ichor first, and then Frothing Berserker after. So yes, to answer your question.
TJ can always spot the bad play. Blood to Ichor and Fire War Axe generates massive tempo for Cydonia, and those Frothing Berserkers are going to get out of control.
I actually don't like this play. Because Blood to Ichor was a Grom activator.
You don't like this?
As much.
I want you to take a look at the board real quick.
As much. No, I like this.
This is way better.
Yeah, there's no other play. You give up a Grom activator, but you develop... The only thing you're weak to is Spell Power, and then he rolls high on Lightning Storm. On 3 of your 4 health.
Yeah,
minions.
and I mean, you've seen 2 Azure Drakes, so like maybe Blood Mage, Lightning Storm.
Yeah.
But I think Cydonia is looking at this more and thinking this is probably just Aggro Shaman with Azure Drakes in it.
You're weak to Maelstrom Portal, Lightning Storm.
Ooh, I forgot about Maelstrom Portal. I actually think that card's pretty good.
In this meta right now, it's good. Actually, in this meta right now, it has the potential to maybe be good. Raynad told me it was good.
I just think it's a good card. Like it's a 2-mana like 1/1 that deals damage to all your opponent's stuff. Like the Mage one is almost good, and that's a 3-mana 2/2. And this one can actually spawn real stuff that's very good.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you can get Argent Squire off that. Sometimes you get Possessed Villager.
Sometimes you get a Tonal Trog.
I don't know what's happening, but this is not very good for Ostkaka. This is really bad.
Yeah, he's taken 11.
More than that, apparently.
All right, well, that's just going to be game. Grom's going to end it. And
Yeah,
Cydonia.
that was a misstep. I don't think the misstep is actually consequential this game, but either way, that is not the order to do that. It just took 2 extra damage for no reason.
Oh, yeah.
You can see Drax falling Berserker. And I think he's realizing that just now, and he's like, what on earth am I doing? The massive confusion on Ostkaka's face says it all. Cydonia going to take game number 2. So, tied series here. Shaman falls for Ostkaka. We get a glimpse of the Hexes, Lava Burst, and Azure Drakes in the build. But Dragon Warrior tucked away now.
Yes, it is. So a little bit intrigued by the play as well as the deck in general. Have to see it's going to take a win. But if we jump into game number 3, we're going to have to take a quick break. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to ESL's King of the Hill. Once again, I'm TJ, and I'm joined by my partner in crime, Stats Admiral.
Don't tell him that. We're on air, man. Now it's recorded.
We're robbing people of their... I don't know.
No, we are not doing that.
What are we robbing people of?
Nothing. I'm not a thief. I don't do that.
We're robbing people of...
The only thing I'm robbing
Watching
is my
bad
parents
broadcasts.
of their pride of their children. That's the only thing I'm robbing people of. Game 3 is going to be coming up real quick, but Ostkaka, bans out his priest, not really too unexpected, given the Cydonia has a very standard lineup. But the Shaman is a mid-range Shaman that also has
Lava Burst.
Lava Burst in it. And that's really weird. Not only that, but we saw him make just an awful play, frankly, where he Rockbiters the Doomhammer, goes attack a 5-power Frothing Berserker, attack a 6-power Frothing Berserker, then Lava Burst a 4/4 Azure Drake.
It actually led to his death because he would have lived at least one more turn, most likely, give or take some rag shenanigans. But he could have been at...
He would have been 2 instead.
He would have been at 2
We just
instead.
would have seen a different line from Cydonia that game.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe it would have been a difference. Probably not. But the thing is sometimes those 10% chances to win can add up. And if this game comes down to the wire where it's 3-3 going into game number 7, if that game had panned out any differently, Ostkaka's really going to be kicking himself.
Yeah, it was not easy to watch, honestly. It was just like, wow, what is that? But
Yeah.
you saw the way his reaction was to it. He was just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like those things happen. I mean, people are human at the end of the day. I'm not excusing this, but honestly, if there's a spot where it could have happened for Ostkaka, now's probably the best time for it because he's probably going to lose that game anyway.
Yeah.
And this is like a really big wake-up call. Like, pay attention.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how he's going to fare in game number 3, as we should be jumping into that one momentarily. But overall, deck lineup's very similar. I was really excited for the Priest, man.
I was too. I wanted to see Priest of the Feast so bad.
Yeah.
That's my favorite card in the whole set.
Yeah, I rolled in here, and one of the producers popped his head. He's like, Ostkaka brought Priest! And then popped his head back out. And I was like, oh, man.
That's a big deal.
I was like, today's going to be really great. And
Priest immediately gets banned away.
now it's just kind of great.
Okay, we saw similar to this from Ostkaka last week. I'm curious if this is the same build or
Yeah.
if this is swapped over to Raging Warrior at this point.
Yeah.
Nope, it's a Cthulhu build. This is I love this deck.
Yeah, this is Kalenta's been playing this deck a lot. And he sort of had the first version. It's been refined a little bit. Ostkaka might be running a little bit of a different version. I know there was a version that didn't have loot hoarders at first. And then now it sort of does. He's back to double loot hoarder. But he's been having a lot of success with it. He was playing it yesterday, and he was floating around top 100 legend with it. And he plays it really weird. And I was talking to a lot of people, and some people were like, I don't know how this deck does well at all. Like, they're just losing straight with it. But you have to play it a little bit differently than OTK Warrior. And there's very specific win conditions. A lot of times, you have to hold on to cards that you wouldn't necessarily hold on to if it was OTK, because you absolutely need, in some matchups, like Brand Doomcaller, because you cycle through your whole deck before turn 10. And so, like, on turn 10, you can Brand Doomcaller with no cards left and just make your last 2 cards in your deck both Cthunes in control matchups. I played this deck a lot after seeing it last week, and I liked it, but didn't have much success with it. So I am actually really excited to see a player that's better than me play it at a high level.
Yeah, coming from a lot of experience with the Raging Warrior OTK, this deck can get really complicated. Now, the thing about it is, with all the Cthulhu package in here, it definitely alleviates some of that decision-making, where sometimes you just have really strong stuff to do.
Yeah.
But figuring out the best ways to use Commanding Shouts, Battle Rages, and Wild Pyromancers is a tall task.
Yeah.
Ostkaka chose to keep Wild Pyromancer and Acolyte of Pain in his opening hand, which doesn't really surprise us too much. Wild Pyromancer, I think, is a very key card just to the build in general. More specifically versus Druid. But Acolyte of Pain is something that Druids just do not handle very well. If they don't have Wrath, it generally is going to get some really solid value. Cydonia happens to have Druid the Claw in his build, so he's got an easier answer to it. But his opening so far has been hero power, hero power, hero power. That's not where Druid wants to be.
When I see 2 Acolytes, my first instinct is to overdraw the crap out of my opponent.
How does he do that, though?
You just start hero powering the Acolytes.
I don't know about that. That seems really tough to win. I think you could just mitigate it with the
This
Druid the
deck
Claw.
has a lot of cards in it that are just useless on their own. What are you going to do with a Commanding Shout? You're going to cycle more?
Just going to wait and use it with a Wild Pyromancer.
Yeah, but you don't give anything to Wild Pyromancer. I don't know. It's a very weird way to play it, but he's got 5 cards and the potential to draw 6 on the board. And more than like 20 cards in his deck cycle. You're making so many of his cards unusable.
Isn't that many cards cycle?
Yeah. There's a lot.
I know it's a lot. I don't think it's quite.
There's 2 Loot Hoarders, there's 2 Slams, there's 2 Acolytes of Pains.
I would go the reverse way to figure out how many cards don't cycle.
There's Commanding Shout.
Yeah, I'm going to Blood to Ichor for sure here. I like the Slam as well. Just take some card economy and continue building from there. And double Commanding Shout picked up at this point. Honestly, I think Druid is one of the matchups where Commanding Shout's kind of at its worst. Is the Druid's generally just building like really big minions when you're doing it. And it's like how often do you clear a lot of stuff with Wild Pyromancer like on 3 activations? Like, it's just not very much.
Yeah.
So I think we're pretty likely to see those get cycled this game. Cydonia is probably aiming for mana at this point. His hand is pretty decent.
Job done.
Fairly easy turn for Cydonia. I don't like the Druid of the Claw here because Ostkaka's already drawn from the Acolytes. So mitigating that's kind of impossible at this point. But getting to Ancients of War and Onyxia could be a real win condition.
Yeah.
And just as I say that, Ostkaka picks up back-to-back executes. So ignore that.
Look at those pairs. 2 Disciples, 2 Commanding Shouts, 2 Executes.
A couple of 7s.
A couple of 7s that are both activated by having your Cthulhu at +10/+10. Or 10/10.
I could totally see both a Commanding Shout and a Disciple of Cthulhu getting used this turn.
Yeah. I could see it. I could also just see Disciple plus Armor up.
I'm totally okay with that as well. He needs to start getting to the Cthulhu buffs because on turn 7 is when he's going to want to start playing this stuff.
Yeah.
And so throwing this to the heap, the trash heap, not really that big a deal. Also needs space in his hand.
Yeah. Well, Emperor Thorsan picked up pretty nice with the large hand size, but I don't know if the cards that he has are ones that he wants. Astradrake Swipe being reduced is really good because all of a sudden it reduces a pretty broken 9-mana combo to a incredibly broken 7-mana combo.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot here because Cydonia just ramped, so it makes more sense to just keep ramping as well. But like you just mentioned, his hand just isn't that good, and he's actually going to go for the overdraw here. Ostkaka has 8 in hand. He can force 2 draws. So 1 burn taking place here, and he's answering the board. Is that going to be enough? And unless Ostkaka basically draws Cthulhu right here, it will not be.
Yeah.
My hand is full.
The glowing halo of doom is upon us.
Yeah. As always. We'll see. See if it sticks around or if it
It's festive.
gets out of here. Oh my god.
Malfurion's under the mistletoe. It's not even December, Malfurion.
Nobody's gonna kiss you anyway.
It's like the department stores that have Christmas stuff when Halloween hasn't even started yet.
Happens every year.
Playing Jingle Bell Rock on October 2nd.
It's right after back to school. It's like as soon as the kids are back at school, about time for Christmas.
Well, the hand's looking a little bit shakier, but as we mentioned, Ostkaka just wants to get to Emperor in the ancient turns.
Yeah.
Start making the magic happen. Yeah, that's a clean signal, I think, for Cydonia to go with this. But we'll get punished.
Yeah. This deck just runs so much removal. All right, it's not 20 cycle cards. It's 20 cycle / removal cards.
That sounds much more accurate.
Yeah. But still, it's 20 of something.
Draws the Cthulhu as well.
Yeah, this is not looking too good for Cydonia. Just didn't have a good start. You got to get out ahead. Pressure them before they draw into their removal.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Cydonia is the aggressor. So he needs to get the game ended. But inevitability is not really on his side.
Yeah.
The thing about it is Ostkaka's Cthulhu Wild Pyromancer. I don't even know what you call this, but I'll just call it Cthulhu Warrior with Battle Rage. I don't come up with a name.
Cycle
for it.
Cthulhu.
Cycle Cthulhu. Cycle Cthulhu. There you go.
Cycothune.
Cycle Cthulhu.
Let's shorten it even further. Cookathune.
So, so Cycle Cthulhu can turn the corner really quickly. It's got a lot of draw power, and you have to stave that off. Well, you don't really stave it off. You just pressure them and force them to use things kind of awkwardly. That's how you typically put the deck off balance. So I didn't have an opportunity to do that this game.
So it looks like Violet Teacher Swipe is going to be the play. That's actually really interesting. I guess Swipe doesn't have too much of a use in this matchup. And at this point, you're just trying to get something on the board that your hope is going to stick. And maybe pressure out a little bit, but it's going to be really hard for him to do this. He knows that there's only 1 execute left, so he's going to try and get something big to stick, and Druid of the Claw is really going to help with that.
Now, on the other hand, Twin Emperor will not really help with that.
Yeah.
It's working the opposite way. But warriors have Ancient of War. His own couple of Druid of the Claws. Yep, it's looking rough.
Yeah.
One of the big problems is nothing Cydonia has actually directly contests one of these 4/6 bodies. Everything is building tension against it. If that continues to happen, Cydonia will eventually run out of resources.
Yeah, and if you mulch one of these, Cthulhu comes down and you just lose.
I mean, he might have to mulch here. He's got to figure out a way to attack. That's really the big deal here. He's not going to win a value battle.
And I figure out some way to just get through.
It's going to be Azure Drakes. Hope that we pick up something good. It might be a Druid of the Claw here still.
Just try and load up the board as much as possible, potentially.
That's a reasonable game plan too. Like when you're really far behind,
Yeah.
just creating a lot of board tension could be a way to win a game. Now against Ostkaka, I don't necessarily think he's going to be messing up too much, and he actually has a mechanic that punishes this style with Commanding Shout.
Yeah. Wildfire, Commanding Shout, Slam plus Execute already is almost a full board clear. And if he picks up another spell with either Commanding Shout or Slam...
Mind you, with the Commanding Shout, he can just trade his guys and leave back 1 health bodies.
Sure, yeah.
That's what kind of the way that you punish board tension.
Yeah.
Is like Divine Shields, big buffs, and Commanding Shout. Like it's like,
And has he seen both swipes?
that's a good question. I wasn't paying attention to whether or not both swipes have been used. Emperor and just trade. This is also very strong. There's 4-2 taunts behind. Emperor's on board. Everything's being discounted. How's Cydonia going to win this game?
I don't know. But
I mean, he can't even kill the Emperor without mulching this turn. And kind of all the same problems that mulching a 4-6 had last turn. Cthulhu will be a big trump card if you do that.
Ostkaka did reduce some of the key cards in his hand here. Doomcaller now can be used with Brand, so you put 2 extra Cthulhu's in your deck. With this cycle version, basically you get through your whole deck by like turn 12 anyway.
Yeah,
so
you draw a lot.
Yeah, so a lot of times you can actually just put 2 Cthulhu's at the bottom of your deck. And so you guarantee that you just play Cthulhu, and then Cthulhu, and then Cthulhu back to back to back.
Doomcaller only gets the Cthulhu's if one of them's dead though, right?
Yeah, you have to play Cthulhu and then have it die.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
But, I mean, if your Cthulhu doesn't die, you win anyway. Most of the time. So it's like, you play Cthulhu, if it dies, you win. If it doesn't die, hey, you have a Cthulhu.
This
you
feels
probably win
so
anyway.
bad for Cydonia. He's trying so hard, and just the options aren't there.
Yeah. And
Ostkaka is going to basically close the game this turn.
going to get double Emperor ticks, and might even draw into Brand, which means he can probably fit in Brand Cthulhu. If he does...
Cthulhu's looking pretty good just right now.
I suppose. Ah, no. I don't like it. You're wasting a lot of its damage. Because you don't want that Cthulhu damage going into
This is definitely better just because it starts digging. And so you can discount more overall stuff, which is kind of the whole purpose of this.
Yeah.
But
Just going to start
also
buffing it
good
and
board
swinging it.
development, too. I think that Ancient Shield Bearer is okay, but I think that just Loot Order Fiery Orax is fine too.
Yeah.
At this point, Ostkaka has managed to use like the ragtag crew of resources and turn it into a spot where he goes, answer this. And Cydonia like, no,
Yeah.
I can't really do that. Just
Yeah.
beating him with all the utility cards.
Yeah, Ostkaka's beating the Elite Four with Rattatas and Pidgeys right now. But those Rattatas and Pidgeys are buff.
They better be with how many of those candies you find of them.
Yeah.
Use all your dust on them. Boom. Biggest Pidgey I ever did see.
It's a 15 kg Pidgey right there. All right, well, second Ancient of War. Hey, Executes are gone. Got that going for him.
Bright side.
Yeah.
You know it's not gone though. Oh, mama.
But now... Oh, is that just game?
Looks like it.
Is that... What's Cthulhu at right now?
13 looked like. 12.
Oh, 12. Okay.
Close enough.
All right. Thought it was at 10-10, but doesn't matter. He's going to win the game. Ostkaka takes a 2-0, or sorry, 2-1 lead
Yeah.
in the series now. And back-to-back weeks has shown a really good performance with that Cthulhu deck.
I mean, this game was not even close, and a lot of it was a product of Cydonia's draw. It didn't have Innervate to try to even pressure Ostkaka, didn't have Wild Growth to have a consistent pressure engine. Got checked very early on. It snowballed out of control. His hand was just really clunky this one. But something to really look at is how decisively Ostkaka has won games with this Warrior build.
Yeah.
It's been not close so far. He has just steamrolled with it.
Yeah. Seems to be pretty proficient with the deck. And now he's got Warlock and his Shaman remaining. Shaman's sort of the wild card here, though. The Shaman deck is on the mid-range shot. It's got Azure Drakes. It's got Hexes, but as you mentioned earlier, it's got Lava Bursts.
I don't
Why
really
does it have
understand it.
lava bursts?
That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out, and I'm not saying there's not a purpose there. Obviously, the world champion's not going to put a card in his deck that doesn't have a purpose to be there. I'm curious about what the purpose is, and I can't seem to figure it out quite just yet. I mean, every step of the way versus the Dragon Warrior, which that just may be a bad matchup. Every single step of the way versus the Dragon Warrior, he struggled to get something on board. So maybe there's a couple early game tools that we haven't seen yet. Maybe there's like a Maelstrom Pulse or something like that that's going on in here.
Well, the purpose of it might be to deal 5 damage for 3 mana.
Thank you, TJ. Wonderful, wonderful insight.
Hey!
How the game is working.
Now he's got a Lightning Storm against Zoo and a pretty decent opening hand against Zoo. So mid-range Shaman tends to do a little bit better against Zoo because they have a lot of reload after they clear the board. And they can just keep playing big stuff and clearing the board. And Cydonia is playing the Gormok and Leroy version of Zoo. He's playing a little bit more aggressive. He's also got Horse Riders. And a Soulfire in the deck.
I saw some builds that did not have Doomguard in them, but they did have Argent Horse Riders. I saw some builds that didn't have Doomguard or Leroy, and they had Argent Horse Riders.
Weird.
And they ran Sea Giant. And it looked really interesting to me because it feels like you're sacrificing quite a bit to get that job done. But at the same time, it's not like so much that I think it's totally unreasonable.
Yeah.
So curious to end up seeing where the Zoo builds go. I think Zoo needs to have like some sort of overhaul in the way the deck is built though. I don't feel like it's functioning the way it's like intended to at this point. But with starts like this, you don't necessarily feel that way. Possessed Villager with the Power Overwhelming run over the Totem Golem and Flame Imp and into Darkshire Councilman. Cydonia probably couldn't be in much of a better spot.
Yeah, this one's going to be sort of an uphill battle for Ostkaka, but having those Azure Drakes in combination with Lightning Storm could really help in this matchup. Also, Shamans can tend, at least mid-range Shamans can tend to be in a pretty rough spot early on, but then be able to stabilize and make big swing turns with Thing from Below. Yeah. So they can get that thing cheap.
Lava Burst is looking interesting here, but it just doesn't feel like a very good answer. Like you're spending 3 and overloading 2 to handle a 3-mana card.
Maybe...
No. Maybe...
no. Feral Spirits might lead Cydonia into making a board that's weak to Lightning Storm, but you overload for 2, so if he doesn't, then you're sort of trapped for the following turn. Tuskar Totemic floats mana. Thing from Below gets answered really well by an Abusive Sergeant and Power Overwhelming. Lava Burst might just be the best answer.
Similar to this position that Cydonia was in when he was faced with a similar situation, I think Tuskar Totemic is just your best play. At this stage, Ostkaka's fallen way behind.
Yeah.
The way he's going to get back into this game is good things happening to him, like good fortune at this point. He's not going to make a sequence of decisions, I think, anyway, that pulls him back into a winning spot. Thing from Below trying to set up the Lightning Storm here. But if he plays the Tuskar Totemic and just gets Mana Tide here, draws an extra card. If he gets Totem Golem, I don't know, I kept wanting to call it Tuskar Totemic Golem for some reason in my head. If he gets like a Totem Golem from this.
The Tuskar Totemic Golem.
It's a classic.
Love that card.
If he ends up getting like Totem Golem, trades happen, he can just buy himself some time. This situation, to me, feels like it got punished by everything. And I mean, it felt like it got punished by Abusive Sergeant, it felt like it got punished by Power Overwhelming. Here, he's going to get slightly rewarded because Cydonia is choosing to use the shield over using the body. Yeah. But he's still got to handle the Darkshire Councilman afterwards.
There it is.
A Maelstrom Portal. If only there was a 1-cost minion that had spell damage on it.
Portal me, Captain.
Lightning Storm first. Honestly, Cydonia's hand's not very strong versus this, though. He just has Gormok.
Yeah. It's pretty weak. Lots of situational cards in this deck. Does roll high on the Darkshire Councilman, but I don't think it's that effective unless he's able... Well, I guess it gets challenged by Feral Spirits now. If he rolls a Spell Power Totem, he can Maelstrom Portal down.
Also affects the Flame Tongue Totem that's in Ostkaka's hand.
Yeah. I mean, I doubt he's trading. This is going to be 6 damage.
I doubt he's trading 2 because of his hand context, but say that was like Defender of Argus something else, I think trading is a real possibility.
Yeah.
But in this spot, no. When you have Leroy, you need to
Was that a second Maelstrom? Okay. Whew. I saw blue. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'll tell you what, rolling a Spell Power Totem here would be massive. I don't know if Ostkaka's necessarily going to go for that, but...
But if he doesn't roll a Spell Power Totem, then he's forced into just playing Flame Tongue and trading in, and...
You
I don't know if that play's strong enough. I mean, he might just have to, like, Feral Spirit's Lightning Bolt to try and
Feral Spirit's Lightning Bolt looks pretty good.
clear this up the old-fashioned way. By using your cards? I don't know.
It's like, just hope that's Cydonia.
Those New Age Hearthstone players trying to clear the board without using any cards. Such hipsters.
I think the risk on rolling the totem is just not worth it. I think that's really, really risky.
Yeah. Well, now Ostkaka might have been able to stabilize here.
And you mentioned it too. That's what this deck does a lot of times. It takes a bunch of damage, uses one AoE spell, and then has kind of the pinpoint spells necessary to secure the board position afterwards. It's got a race versus life tap though.
Yeah. And now Cydonia's facing an awkward situation where Gormok is just sitting in his hand, wishing it was a Dark Iron Dwarf.
Black Knight.
Like, man, if I had a job that wasn't impaling people.
Why do you call?
You don't understand. I need 4 men present to launch this javelin alone.
Launch it. He's not strong enough
I just
by
don't
himself?
get it. I just don't understand. Like, why is 4 people there?
All right, well, Flame Tongue Totem is can present Ostkaka with an option to almost full clear.
I wonder if we're going for the totem here, though. Totem here is not that bad.
Oh,
just
I
to
think-
start with.
Ooh, it's overloaded for 3, though. Oh, my goodness.
Well, what else would he be using this? I mean, obviously the Tusker Totemic something he wants to play, but that ship on the high roll for that I feel like has sailed at this point. So the totem isn't bad here because the Flame Tongue Totem is still a reasonable play.
Yeah.
And so if he gets lucky and hits the right totem, suddenly you could look at this and go, hey, you know what? I do want a Maelstrom Portal here.
Yeah. So now he's going to have to strand this Flame Tongue Totem out on the far left.
Which isn't too bad. The bigger deal is that he lost his healing totem, I think.
Yeah, Taunt's like the worst here, actually, I think. I would have even liked the 1/1 because at least you can trade it up a little bit better after it because Healing Totem would have also put it out of range of this sucker.
Well, the Taunt Totem kind of functions in the same way as the 1/1 does, where because of the Flame Tongue out, you can just trade into it also, but
Yeah. That is a bad hand.
I don't know if I like Defender of Argus before and attack the 0/2 or attack here and then play Defender of Argus afterwards.
Either
If he's
way,
gonna do this, I imagine Gormok could really be his play here.
either way, the 2/2 gets challenged by whatever, either the Feral Spirit that you left up, or the 2/2 taunt now that's next to
Sure,
the Flame
but this
Totem,
way
so.
he doesn't have a body that stays around. Like if he used Defender of Argus and attacked the Taunt Totem, it's a 4/1 versus a 2/2 that spawns a 1/1.
Yeah.
If he does it this way, now he has a 2/2 that doesn't spawn a 1/1 versus a 2/2.
Yeah.
This is just strictly worse.
It's either a 4/1 or a 2/2.
He has a Taunt in play.
He would have a taunt.
Now the Taunt doesn't spawn a 1/1.
Oh, I thought you were saying he would taunt either way.
He would have a Taunt either way,
Yeah.
except the Taunt the other way would spawn a
spawn
1/1.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Well, the Great Wall is being built for Ostkaka. just putting up taunts.
How often do you see that? Not very often.
That's very rare. If this is not Tunnel Trog, Feral Spirit, I'm going to lose my mind. Just like Tunnel Trog is like, yeah, Maelstrom Portal.
Yeah.
What? This is probably going to seal it. That's not very good.
No.
Leroy's stranded in hand. Abusive Sergeant. Not much of a help. Yeah, I think it's going to do it. Ostkaka should have enough to snowball this game from here.
I just really don't like the way that the Zoo deck is built, to be honest. I think the more consistent versions at the moment are much stronger.
Protects me.
The Doomguard versions without Soulfire.
Well, it's targeted at a more slow pace, I think, with
I understand that,
with
yeah.
the Gormok and the Leroy, but it's definitely keeping him in a rough spot here.
Say it with me. Maelstrom. Maelstrom.
Maelstrom.
Does he have
Oh, I
lethal
thought
on
we were
board?
gonna
Yeah,
keep
he
going.
does. Right?
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, it's way over lethal.
Yeah, but I think Maelstrom
You
Portal.
can still cast it.
Yeah, Maelstrom Portal would have been cool though.
Way cool. Come on, man.
Oh, he's got 3 over. Jeez.
Well, 3-1 for Ostkaka at this point, who just needs a win with the Warlock build. Really interesting Shaman build. I mean, I guess part of the reason that the Lava Burst can be in there is just when you take the board, instead of relying on really heavy threats like Thunderbluff Valiant or Alakir to close, you just try to Lava Burst them and close.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, and, you know, the Azure Drakes also, just playing Azure Drakes for Maelstrom Portal is more beneficial. And if you're going to play Azure Drakes, then having a win condition that relies on spell power, or like a support win condition that relies on spell power, is much better than having one that's not. So, yeah, I understand it. It makes sense. Still a deck that probably will need to be tested a bit. But it took a win there, and I think that was more of the downfalls of the way Cydonia was built against that deck rather than like Ostkaka just overpowering him.
It's kind of a combination of the two, where Ostkaka, again, had the big stabilize with Lightning Storm, but just the fact that Cydonia's got Gormok and that he's got Leroy, I mean, they did nothing that game. They were just pure liability.
Yeah. Yeah, even a Sea Giant would be better in that case. Doomguard would have been way better because he could have used that to trade in.
Magi probably would have been better. He would have actually played that.
Yeah. Pantry Spider would have been better.
Wow. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Seems fine, honestly.
All right. Well, Ostkaka is up 3-1 now, so just one game away. We are going to move into game number 5 in just a moment, but we are going to go to a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Get your team apparel now at shop.eslgaming.com.
He's going to get the one kill in that bomb coming onto the side. FNX has to stay up. Oh, he gets the triple FNX. Oh my god, what a way to win that round. They don't have a smoke, so this over still.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to ESL's King of the Hill. I'm TJ, joined by That's Admiral once again. And Hearthstone's starting to wind down for today. Ostkaka is just one game away from reassuring us, himself, the entire world, that he's the king.
Yeah, and he's got a Warlock to do it with. Now, the interesting thing to note is last week, Warlock was what he struggled with. We've kind of been hinting at it a little bit today. I personally feel like the Zoo decks are not in the spot they need to be right now. I feel like people have fallen into the category where they just continue to play the Zoo deck over and over again because it's good enough, and not really too much exploration has been made with that.
Yeah.
I think that we're going to see Warlock, and more specifically the aggressive Warlocks, really go through a change in the next couple of weeks here, both with Karazhan releasing and the fact that it's kind of coming to the forefront right now. Warlock's not performing very well.
Yeah.
To really bring in someone who's going to change the way this works.
Yeah.
But Ostkaka, when you're up 3-1 and you have Warlock left, you have to know that your chances are pretty good. Not only that, but Cydonia's Warlock is a Leroy Gormok version, not necessarily a Sea Giant Doomguard version.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. Before we jump into the next match, though, we do want to remind you guys that every week, the winner of the open tournament that we run for the King of the Hill does get put on the broadcast. You saw Demigod earlier today. He was the open winner from last week, and he got a chance to compete. You guys can have a chance to compete, too. Head over to esl.gg/KOTHHS and sign up for the open there. There are limited spots available, so make sure you do it quickly if you want to play in the upcoming week's open. But make sure you do it, because it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, the Swiss environment as well gives you more opportunity to actually play matches that you expect to. You can budget the time for it, and regardless of your record, you're still in the tournament. So you can finish all the normal rounds. They cut to their top portion of the bracket, play off from there. That's a much better system, in my opinion, than a typical single elimination or double elimination bracket.
Yeah.
If you've been looking to get into tournaments, this is definitely a good one to start with.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, about time to jump into game number 5. Can Ostkaka close it out? He's up 3-1 at the moment with just Warlock remaining. Despite Warlock maybe not being as powerful, at least in the current lineups, that it has been in the past, it's still a force to be reckoned with and still one of the most consistent decks in the game. So having 3 opportunities to win with it, definitely gives Ostkaka a big edge to close out this matchup, secure that $500, and secure his place on the throne.
Yeah, and it's a tough uphill battle, I think, for Cydonia, knowing that he doesn't know Ostkaka's lineup just yet, and Ostkaka knows all of his at this point. And there's a Doomguard in the opening. Cydonia, that's a golden Maelstrom port. This guy's got
They're playing the same deck.
Many gold cards. Well, we don't know that just yet. We haven't seen...
No, Admirable.
Cydonia's Shaman...
If I'm good at anything, it's making conclusions before I have all of the information.
Which we've already seen Cydonia's deck from the first series.
No.
I
Agree to
don't
disagree.
remember that.
Admirable, if I'm good at anything, it's making glaring errors.
Golden Maelstrom Portal, that's faith.
Yeah.
I made a Golden Gormok, and I'm going to be honest, there's one guy on my stream who called me out when I did that.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yeah.
And I regret it.
Well, we know what Cydonia spent his Spring America's Championship money on.
Arena.
Yeah. He literally grinded $1.50 arena runs for months since the Spring Championship up until this point to have enough gold to craft full golden decks.
Gold cards are just so cool.
Yeah.
Look at that thing from below. It looks like he's coming from below. And it looks like it's a thing.
I think that's because Cydonia is playing from the bottom of the screen.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Just now when you said it. Pretty good opener for Ostkaka. Flame Imp and Possessed Villager. Cydonia
Doesn't get Taunt Totem here. He is in trouble.
This is going to be, that's bad. That's really bad. He's going to need that Maelstrom Portal.
ASAP.
I wonder if that's actually something for Ostkaka to ever consider here.
You wonder what?
Is because the 2/2, sorry, because the Spell Power Totem's on board, Maelstrom Portal. Like, I wonder if there's ever a chance you don't play the Knife Juggler.
Ah.
You'd have to know they're playing 2.
Yeah.
This is looking bad, TJ.
Well, Feral Spirits can absorb a lot of damage, but the thing is, what are you doing after you play Feral Spirits?
They can absorb a lot of damage, all right. All those Knife Juggles, those 3/1 bodies that have already got value.
I believe it's called Knife Uggles. Thank you very much.
And really close to Sea Giant. Not quite this turn.
All right. Well, that doesn't matter. That's well, no, it matters. He can keep the
Oh, it
moment
matters
alive.
a lot, yeah. Not only that, it kills the
Spell Power Totem.
Wrath of Air Totem, is that what it's called?
Wrath of Air.
Wrath of Air Totem.
Don't you remember that from your World of Warcraft
I
days?
play Shamans.
Yeah. Wrath of Air
I
Totem.
was on the Alliance side for a large portion of that.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't even know what Shamans did for like a year and a half. Even though I was on the Horde side during Vanilla. I was just like, Shaman, I hate Shamans.
Well, I don't know if they had it back then. Oh, yeah, they did.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember they'd play a bunch of little stupid things, and I'd wand them all
Yeah.
in the duels, and I'd frost over them and just sheep them and dance.
Yeah.
And eventually die when they infuriated me with a Doom Hammer.
Yeah.
Flamewraith Faceless hopes to bring abundance to this game side. Oh, Nelly.
So, okay, I want to talk about, for just a moment, a mechanic that used to be in World of Warcraft that would be crazy in Hearthstone. What Wind Fury used to do is it didn't provide you with an extra. It provided you with an extra attack, but that extra attack could then have the same chance to provide an extra attack. So you could go down the rabbit hole of Wind Furies and literally just one-shot someone because your Wind Fury procced a Wind Fury attack, and then that Wind Fury attack procced another one. Imagine if you could do that in Hearthstone. If Wind Fury Red, if Wind Fury Red, every time you attack, you have a 25% chance of proccing an extra attack. What if Doomhammer could attack an infinite number of times depending on how lucky you were?
And that sounds worse than it currently is. I don't want that life. Don't put that.
Would you rather be able to guaranteed attack 2 times per turn, or have like a 100%
TJ, did you design
chance?
Purify?
Yes. It was me, guys. I'm so sorry.
Sea Giant spouts way to the board, and Cydonia is trying to get value here. Ostkaka is going to just destroy what's happening with Cydonia. His options are strong. He's got initiative. That's a bad Dark Peddler.
It's a great Dark Peddler.
I think Elven Archer would be better near than all three of these.
Those are some pretty good one-drops. Shifter's Heiress could be an Elven Archer. Whoa. To be real.
Could also turn into a Shifter's Heiress.
Yes! And goes ahead and picks the Possessed Villager. Probably the best, just because it sticks around the longest.
I mean, maybe he doesn't true. Maybe he's just pushing. He's looking at 14 on board. That feels scary.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'd do.
Get it out! Get it out!
All right, so trade a couple, and then the rest go in face. Right?
I think he's really considering trade.
Okay. That's a lot of damage to give up.
It really is, but honestly, when you think about the way that Cydonia's hands panned out this game, he's had opportunities to kill stuff and just hasn't.
Yeah.
That 8-1's probably living.
Yeah. And if it's living, then it's probably trading into something big.
And look at Cydonia's hand. The only way it's not living is if he's going to Doomhammer it or Lava Burst it.
Yeah.
I'm not in the business of hitting 8-1s with Lava Burst or with Doomhammers.
If Doomhammer worked the way that I would have designed it.
He could just win.
No, he could hit face for 16.
Oh, it still has charges on it.
It still has, yeah, it still has durability. Come on, get real here. We're designing Hearthstone cards.
Didn't sound like it for a while. Oh my gosh, he actually hit the Sea Giant. Ugh! Oh, it hurts. It just hurts to watch.
Yeah, definitely does.
I'm sorry, Cydonia.
This is looking...
I've never wished upon anyone that they've had to hit a Sea Giant with a Doomhammer.
Man, Maelstrom Portal would have been great so many times this game.
Kind of just the whole day of matches, honestly.
Yeah.
Maelstrom Portals look like it's would have been good in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
Down to 8. Feral Spirit. Oh, gosh. Just why not? I mean,
It's basically like he didn't draw a card this
rub it in at this point. Why don't you game? And one of the reasons I have the reaction to this isn't because this turn's bad. It's because Ostkaka's holding on the knife juggler for Forbidden Ritual.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's very likely that this game's just over. Actually, maybe not. He only has a certain amount of room on his board, so might not be able to close it out with what he has. But Cydonia's really got to think here. I mean, I can't imagine this is trading anywhere. It's probably just going face. Guess not.
I mean, he's got to control the board somehow.
Yeah. All right, so if he Knife Jugglers, trades in the 1/1, and then goes and then trades in the Imp Gang boss to the 2 health guy, then he gets
I'm curious.
4 juggles.
I'm curious if Dark Iron Dwarf could be better here. Then.
I think Dark Iron Dwarf is better here. I think a tap is in order.
Well, I'm thinking Forbidden Ritual for 2 maybe. It's like Knife Juggler, Dark Iron Dwarf, Evaluate. Ah, that's got to be worse. And if that's worse, then he needs to tap first, right?
I wonder.
I guess he needs to evaluate because if the juggle goes face, then he's going to need Forbidden Ritual sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is better. Yeah, if he hits that, he's probably tapping. Now, why would you tap here? Wait a minute, you have a Forbidden Ritual to put your opponent at 2. Yeah, I'm definitely Forbidden Ritualing here. Not tapping or Forbidden Ritualing. So he's playing around Rockbiter, Lava Burst. Is that right? 16, 17, 19, 20, 21.
He's playing around.
This doesn't play around anything.
Yeah.
Except for 2-turn lethals that are available.
I don't know. It just feels like I don't need any more cards.
Yeah, I mean, that could just be the case, too.
If you clear my board, I'm just going to Forbidden Ritual and reload.
I mean, that's kind of what he's saying here.
I like the holding on to Forbidden Ritual. I think that's right, but I don't know. I don't really see a reason not to tap, but I guess he's just so far ahead. It's hard to imagine how he loses.
And it seems that's what Ostkaka's concluded as well. Like,
Yeah.
how do I even lose? Like, it would already take a miracle as it is. Yeah, that's going to do it.
Yeah.
So Cydonia going to drop the set here.
He's going to realize
Ostkaka going to
he
win
can't
4 games to 1. Yeah, I mean, 1 he stays alive, but not anymore. That's a Doom Guard. Boom!
There she blows. And Ostkaka is going to be the returning king 2 weeks in a row now. Is going to be the total to beat. $500 this week. That brings his total up to $1,000 total for King of the Hill.
Buckaroos.
Really impressive stuff.
Yeah, it seems like every single time that we see Ostkaka play, something slightly changes.
Yeah.
And in this one, it was something slightly at the beginning where he just took extra damage for no reason and then was flabbergasted at himself.
And that was the only game he lost. The only game he lost. And he might have been able to, it was very unlikely, but there was a chance that he could have won that game had he not taken that extra damage. He would have been put to, like, at the lowest to the following turn and maybe would have had a chance to stabilize. But it's hard to say.
Cydonia, I feel like, was just a victim of the draws this game.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like there was a chance for him to really get out of many situations, and that ended up just costing him a lot at the end. Like, he at no step of the way did it feel like his decisions were extremely strong versus what Ostkaka was doing, which is a product of partly of Ostkaka's deck building. But Cydonia in the first match was able to show a depth of understanding of the game, and in this series, I just don't feel like the cards were there for him to show that.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and take one last look at the bracket for today. We started off with Demigod, our open winner, versus Cydonia, who was the invited player for the week. Cydonia came out on top 4-2 in that series with some really impressive play. But then he went up against Ostkaka, was only able to take 1 game, and Ostkaka remains the king.
It's a cakewalk.
Going in next week. A cheesecake walk, so to speak. But yeah, really fun day. Really fun day. And just one last reminder for you guys for Hearthstone, of course. If you guys want to participate in the next King of the Hill, make sure you guys head over to esl.gg/KOTHHS in order to sign up for the next Open. You can participate in that later on in the week, and if you win, you'll be invited to the next week's King of the Hill, where you could potentially challenge Ostkaka for his spot on the throne.
Win that 500 buckaroos.
And 500 buckaroos.
As well, if you've been looking for more tournament experience, this is definitely a place to get it with a Swiss format. You can set aside the time you scheduled to play some Hearthstone tournaments. Doesn't matter what your record is in it. You can complete all the rounds that are scheduled for that event. So if that's something you're into, definitely sign up for that one. There are limited spots as well, so you need to sign up quickly. And make sure you guys stay tuned for this as well.
Yeah.
We got a little bit more than Hearthstone coming up right after this.
Yes, we do. That's it for Hearthstone. I mean, but we will be back in actually just a little bit. We're not going to have a big break in between. We're going to go right into Overwatch after a pretty quick break. So if you guys were only tuned in for Hearthstone, then we appreciate you guys tuned in, but you should be tuned in for a lot more. Again, guys, we are going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, it's week number 3 of King of the Hill Overwatch. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.